Oh, man, what a nap. Hey, how long was I out for anyways? Whoops. Hey y'all, it's me again. Not quite fully back, but not quite fully gone, I guess. I've emerged once again to use you all as my therapist because I have found a video clip that really adds to my working theory that humanity was a friggin' mistake. So first I want to introduce y'all to a man named Austin Kroll. He is a reality TV show star. He's been on Winter House and Southern Charm, and on one of these shows, during a very vulnerable moment with someone, he opened up about his family and his sister, Kyle Kroll. And one day when they were kids, they went on a hike in the woods, and unfortunately, she had fallen off a cliff and she very sadly passed away. Now, I told you this information because it is important context for what we're about to yap about. So, Austin Kroll went on a podcast called The Vile Files, run by two people, Nick Vile and Natalie Joy. And these two are some of the best arguments that you could give as to why podcasting equipment should be outlawed. This is genuinely one of the worst interviews I've ever seen. And if I had to watch this dumpster fire, so do you. So this podcast starts off relatively normal. They're talking about BravoCon, which is a convention, I guess, for the network that has all these reality TV shows. They're talking about Southern Charm. And then out of nowhere, this lady comes in with all of the subtlety of a steam train and says this.
Quickly jumping out of Southern Charm, I'm sure we're going to jump right back into it. But going into your childhood, I didn't know this about your sister passing at 9.
Okay, we are switching gears.
Listen, I'm not a professional interviewer by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like we could have transitioned into that topic just a little bit smoother than that. I feel so bad for Kyle, man. That's like the least egregious thing she's gonna do in this interview. I'll summarize Kyle's next statement for you. He says the period after Kyle passed away was very much, in his own words, the dark ages for his family, but then his younger sister Katie was born, and then her introduction into the family really helped them move out of the grief and the depression that they were experiencing. I'm happy for him, grief is not fun, and especially when you're on a podcast being interviewed by two nut jobs. I'm glad that they could have pulled through this. Now, listen, if they had stopped here, honestly, this entire thing could have been saved. Truly. Would have been a bad transition. But at least it would have only been one intrusive question. But then this freaking guy on the right comes in with this screwball of a question.
Weird question, but what is your younger sister's relationship with your sister who passed? If they're in a almost spiritual way.
It's a super meta, question.
I'm glad he prefaced this with a weird question, but I appreciate the heads up from him. It's like when you're playing TF2 and the scout hits you with the think fast chuckle nuts right before he flashbangs you. I am trying to put myself in Austin's shoes here, and I'm just... How am I supposed to answer that question? That's such a personal question, and you're not even asking about my personal information, you're asking about my sister's. Now, I don't know a single thing about interviewing people, so I'm gonna really need to borrow y'all's brain cells for a sec. Is this normal when you're interviewing reality TV stars? They just plop themselves down in the hot seat and you're just like, hey bro, how's the trauma going? There's no way this is that common. At the very least, it's not like this, right? Austin is handling these questions better than any human being could, I think. I feel like if I was in this chair and then this dude asked me that, I would just be frozen, just trying to process what he said to me like he just spoke in the Gleeby-Deeby language. But Austin's actually able to form a coherent response. I'll play that right now.
Katie always acknowledges Kyle and always, refers to her as, my sister Kyle and things like that. I mean, always talks about it. Never refers to it as your sister or things like that. And honestly, I've never asked her that question.
Yeah, I'd imagine he wouldn't have asked that because why would you?
My sister Kyle.
That's fascinating.
Were you there when she fell?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
How does it get worse? Every question they ask is worse than the last.
What was this cliff? Where
Bruh. Guys, I want y'all to know, those last two clips right there, I didn't cut anything out between them. They're back to back. Hit them with the old 1-2 combo, the old razzle dazzle. What do you mean, what was this cliff? You never seen one? Go on Google Images. Why would you ask this? What is wrong with y'all? Guys, hold on. Look at this. I'm gonna play this clip again. Watch Austin's face. And then look at it in the very next cut.
what was this cliff? Where
I think they cut something out. I think he like laughed at her and then they cut it out. It might have just been a normal editing thing and they didn't actually trim anything out. It's just the way they like lined the clips up together. But I hope he laughed at her. I hope he said something, because that is actually foul. That is atrocious. Anyways, thankfully, that's where this dumpster fire ends. The podcast goes on for a while, but they're talking about normal topics. Oh my gosh, this is painful. I feel like I need to go lie down after recording this. Anyways, thank you all very much for attending my public therapy session, and I'm gonna go crawl back in my hole now.